So it's lovely to have Sabina here today from Sydney, Australia. So she's going to introduce herself now and share a little bit about what she does. So over to you, Sabina.
Hello, Suzanne. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. Absolutely love what Suzanne's doing in the world, and I'm so thrilled to be talking about modern medicine. I think it's actually we have so much to learn, and I hope I can give you a little bit of a tidbit about what I know and help broaden your mind a little bit about how food can help health.
So what is it that you're actually doing at the moment in Australia, Sabina? What are you concentrating on? What's your business? What's your
Yes.
background?
So I'm the holistic. I am the holistic body coach, and I have a practice in the city, and I help professionals increase their vitality and their energy using lifestyle medicine, which is becoming more and more popular now, but is basically using food as medicine and also lifestyle habits, so movement. How I differ a little bit is that my background is in human physiology, and our bodies work according to a set series of clocks. And what I like to do is try and fast track our success or meet our goals by synchronizing what we do on a daily basis with these clocks. And I've had huge success with professionals, but also with mums and dads are just wanting to help themselves, help their families, and yeah.
Yeah, just live a life of wellness. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Life is too short, I think, and there's so much we can do, and I think sometimes some of the messages that we get from the mainstream media can be quite disempowering.
Yeah.
And I want to try and flip that switch and instead empower you or empower your listeners that they can take their health in their own hands to a certain extent, and you have a lot more control than what you think. You just need to elicit that control.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So when we first met, we discussed the power of food and how it heals our body, and I shared with you the response from my liver consultant. So for those listeners who don't know, I had surgery and I contracted sepsis and then necrotizing fasciitis. And after all of the drugs, my liver was very, very poorly. And when I explained to the consultant how I healed that liver, he didn't really believe me, even though he was sat in front of two massive posters with fresh fruit and fresh vegetables on, which I found a little bit ironic. So, what experiences can you share about the power of food and the disconnect between that and the healthcare professionals?
It's hilarious, isn't it, Susan, and what's going on. I find it quite hilarious, to be honest.
I know.
But your story is a very common story. I've had lots of clients who have been at the end of their tether, and they've been to doctors looking for answers, as quite rightly you would, and they've been told to go away with antibiotics or drugs or surgery or even worse, and they've been given this sort of this not death sentence, but they've been told that they have to live with it, or that they've only got so many options to
Yeah.
relieve their pain. And it's just common. I think a lot of doctors just don't understand it. But it amazes me when, not that I did human physiology, but as in medical history, we're taught that the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, he believed then that food is medicine. Yet now we've evolved, we've got so much else. We've developed so many, incredible things, incredible technology, incredible drugs. Yet we still are disregarding the importance that food is medicine.
Yeah.
And it's very easy for us to realize that food can actually damage your body. So why is it so unbelievable that food can actually heal your body? It's
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
it's laughable. It's just laughable. It's madness. I know myself, my own journey is I had a lot of digestive stress, and that was all. I went to numerous doctors. I was given pills. I was on laxatives till I was the age of 34. and I was told that I had a lazy gut. That was it. I had to live with it. And if it hadn't been for a few sort of a few professionals that pointed me in the right direction and gave me that knowledge, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now, I wouldn't have learned that there's so much more I can do with food, and but also with behaviors, with stress, and just taking that power back rather than handing it over. It's like we go to the doctor's surgery and we hand over our power like it's some big box to the doctor and say, right, can you help us?
Can you fix me?
Can you fix me? And instead we need to grab that box back and take a bit of
control.
Take a bit of control. So it doesn't surprise me. It's heartbreaking. And the disconnect between, like you said, the poster on the wall with food and vegetables. I mean, the disconnect is so ironic. But this is not. This is common.
Because at the time I just got this idea. I think it was from a guy, medical medium. I don't know if you've heard of him. And he has a massive book about how to heal your liver. And I was at the end of my tether. So I was just, I'm going to try anything. And that it was a raw food diet. And yes, it was grim. I'm not going to lie. But it obviously did the trick, because the doctor even said at one point, maybe the blood tests are incorrect. But everyone was saying to me, oh, you look amazing. You look so healthy. Your skin, your nails, everything about you looks really healthy. I still didn't feel great, but I felt a lot better than I had done. And it was obviously going to take time, to get the sepsis and everything out of the body. But I just could, and I even pointed to the posters and he still wasn't getting it. I just went, what? Like, he still wasn't getting it.
And I think so we don't realize that, like, what we put into our bodies, information about our environment, it's what codes our proteins, our enzymes, our hormones. When we put in incorrect information, just like if we're baking a cake, you put in the wrong ingredients or poor quality ingredients, you get a crap cake out. And it's exactly the same. I hope I'm allowed to say crap on here.
Go for it.
But it's it's the roaring. Your food becomes the raw ingredients for how we actually create our body, our cells, our systems, our DNA, and that code that we're sending to our body is information. So if we're sending bad information to our body, it's inevitable that something's going to go wrong, and we can't expect our body to be any otherwise, really, to be honest.
Just like if you put the wrong fuel in your car. We all know what happens. No, I haven't.
No, me too.
I'm not going to either.
Exactly.
It's exactly the same response, isn't
quality
it?
In, quality
performance.
And it's performance. I love that analogy about the fuel. We need to be more curated and more careful about what we put into our body.
So going back to our program, the Body Reset, it covers metabolism, energy, weight, and pain release. So if you had one piece of advice for a woman in pain with their monthly periods, what would it be?
I didn't, this answer, it's come to me so intuitively, and it's just listen to your body. Babe, listen to your body, because there are a lot of people out there they have lots of degrees, and I'm not knocking degrees at all, and they're doctors and hugely professional, academic, but nothing replaces you knowing your body. You've lived with that body, and so don't be empowered by that. Listen to your body, even ask questions, and that sounds a bit voodoo, but even just sort of like, where is the pain? What could that pain be from? Asking a lot of questions, and you can reach out to me and I can give you some literature about what kind of questions. But just look at what's going on in your environment and ask some questions, get curious and listen to your body. Because your body's always talking to you, it's always communicating with you, and I'm sure Suzanne will agree with me. And it's our job to pause and listen. But in our busy lifestyle, busy days running around, where it's sort of quite trendy, I think, to be sort of busy, we've forgotten to pause. even sleep, we sleep with our phones at the side of the bed,
Yeah.
so we've forgotten to pause and to actually listen to our bodies. And we could get a lot faster, a lot quicker to pain relief if we just sort of took a step back and just listened. And I think sometimes it's worth reminding us that we need to go slower in order to go quicker. You can get things done. It's about, so don't be afraid to listen to your body. And another thing that I'd really encourage your listeners to do, and and it's hard as well, because when you're with a doctor, it can sometimes be intimidating.
Yeah.
But remember, you are you might be an expert in certain fields, but you're the expert on you.
Yeah.
And remember that. And when something's not right, you feel something's not right, it's maybe not right. So listen to your intuition, and own yourself. You are the expert on you. Yes, you're looking for guidance, but if there's something, don't be frightened to get a second opinion. Maybe that doctor's not having a great day, or maybe they've got their own worries on there. But just trust yourself a little bit more, that if something doesn't seem like it's not right, then trust yourself that it might not be right.
It. Yeah, it probably isn't. Yeah. I remember when I was in hospital with the sepsis, and it was obviously it was getting really, really bad, and they were still doing all these blood tests, and the doctors came around the bed, and one doctor said, if you could describe the pain, how would you describe it? And I remember, obviously it was during COVID this happened, so they all had their masks on. And I said, intuitively, it feels like I'm being eaten alive. And they all looked at each other and sort of made these funny kind of weird gestures with the eyes, like, oh, what is she talking about, kind of thing. Yeah. Within hours, I was down for a scan. The surgical team had come in intervention. They'd come down, and then it was diagnosed with necrotizing fasciitis, which actually translates as flesh-eating disease. So my body was speaking to me, and I was trying to verbally communicate that pain, and I was dismissed again. So you're absolutely right. It's just key to that communication. So
and a lot more than what you think. We all do. We're all very good at telling ourselves that we don't know enough, and we disregard. I ask you, just trust yourself a little bit. You know yourself, right? When something's not going right, you're sitting in that body every single day. If something's not right, question it. So I mean, that's such a great story. But
but it's a great example, though, isn't it? If that disconnect of not listening to somebody, don't ask, like, and it kind of, now when I think back, it's a little bit disrespectful to ask a patient a question and then not take on board what they've said. It's kind of like, well, this is what I'm telling you. This is what the pain is like.
And I think as well is they want some scientific whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're speaking French and you're speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
They need to understand is that they're speaking in their terms and you're going to speak in your terms, and we need to actually be aligned. Is that it makes sense what you're saying, but they're seeing it from a very different viewpoint.
And I think going back to like my previous history in the 90s, before Google, before mobile phones, when I was constantly at the GP asking for help, explaining the pain, not understanding what was going on with my body, I would spend most of my weekends in the library reading medical books, trying to figure out what was wrong with me, writing things down, taking photocopies, saying, could it be this? Could it be that? Just being dismissed. I mean, it was like 20 years before my endometriosis was even diagnosed. And I can remember the surgeon's face when he told me, yes, you have got endometriosis, and I burst into tears. And he went, I'm so sorry. I know it's like it's really bad, And I was like, it's actually relief. I've now got something to work with. Now I know what's wrong with me. I can now go away and take back that power. I'm not going to be hassling anybody anymore. Let's go away and look at this from a different point of view. And that was where I got onto my holistic journey. And actually, the first person I went to was a private lady who did consultations on bowel health, because it was affecting my bowel so badly. And she literally changed my life, because I just didn't know anything about bowel health. I didn't even know that probably 60% of my endometriosis pain was coming from the bowel, and the pressure and, you know, everything else that was going on in there. And to have a healthy bowel is to have a healthy brain, I think, from my point of view.
100%. I mean, 20% of your brain, of your neurons, are wrapped around your bowel. Your 95% of your feel-good serotonin is produced by your bowel. You have so many hormones that are produced by your bowel, and so when your bowel's not working, you know, everything takes a hit. Everything takes a hit. And I think there is no single system. It's an integrated system. And you're probably aware of the you know, of the axes between the bowel and the brain. They're constantly communicating with each other. And we see it. You know, we think that we've got butterflies in our tummy. But the butterflies are here. It's the nerves in the brain that it's causing us to. So we can see it. We can.
And we say that thing as well, don't we? We say, "Oh, I've got a gut feeling."
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that's because your gut is telling your brain to think that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on sugar, because that's quite a kind of a hot topic, I think. So I was just wondering, can you share what types of sugar are good? What time of day should we be having sugar? Because there's all this bit of a thing about fruit, and you know, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think sugar is, or particularly the sugar in whole fruits and whole vegetables, is, you know, not is good, because there's so many benefits to it as well. But I think, like you pointed out, it's the strategy behind how you eat the sugar that is the most important thing. And when I say how you eat it, I mean with what, right? So you have macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. But when you have just carbohydrates on their own, particularly sugar, you get these massive sugar spikes, and the sugar goes straight through to your system, and it causes, you know, a massive hit of insulin. That causes then, and can cause, can cause an insulin resistance, is that your cells become desensitized to insulin, and then the symptoms skyrocket. So what I would do is, whenever you're having just a couple of rules, and if you've got a pen and paper, just maybe write these down, but always have sugar in the daylight hours. So, you know, never, when I say sugar, sorry, I'm talking about fruit. And the best fruit would be berries, any fruit with quite a lot of fiber. So berries, pears, apples, green apples rather than red. They've got a bit of less sugar. Papayas, really good as well. Have those fruits, and stay away from ones that have got lots of water in them or lots of sugary sweet, like grapes and oranges. Also dried fruits such as prunes, figs, raisins. They're not great either. So focus, focus your food mainly, or your sweet food, focus it mainly on berries and some fibrous apples and pears and things like that. And papaya is great as well, because it has a lot of fiber. And what that does is, when the food hits your tummy, instead it slows the passage of sugar down into your bloodstream, so you don't get that massive hit, that massive spike that starts triggering the hormones. So you want to make sure, and then you want to make sure as well you eat it with protein. So I would suggest eating protein first. So let's say, for example, you want to have a pack of raspberries, which I've just had today, which was yum. And this is for anybody, even if you've got hormonal dysfunction or not, this is a really good way to actually balance your hormones and try and prevent things. So have your protein first. So I would have either some raw almonds are really good, or I might have some yogurt and some seeds, or if I wanted to, and I recommend this to a lot of my clients, you just have some protein powder and water, some sort of clean whey protein or clean pea protein. And what that'll do is that'll start acting on your ghrelin and leptin, your hormones that balance your hunger, and they'll start balancing things out. So have that protein first, and then what you want to do is then you can enjoy the raspberries, right? So then enjoy the raspberries, and always do it in the day. So
it's sun when the sun's up.
So I'm not an expert in Ayurveda, but I know I really enjoy their learnings, and it makes a lot of sense, is our metabolism, and scientifically proven as well, our metabolism is the highest in the day, and for good reason. That's when we've got these massive energy demands, our brain is really active, our body's active, we need constant supply of energy. And then toward the evening, that's when it slows down, because the metabolism, the foot comes off the pedal, so to speak, and then it comes into, we're going to start resting, right? So it can reset for the next day. So it's very well known that our metabolism is in the highest. So you want to take advantage of that, and when you're eating fruits and vegetables, or sweet fruits particularly, try and eat them in the day. If you're struggling with hormone dysfunction or a hormone imbalance, I would suggest having what I call a carb curfew, and cutting off your fruit from, say, 2:00. So never have fruit in the evening, but have it in the day. So you're not feeling deprived, so there's no sort of psychological craving. You're still getting a little bit of fruit, a little bit of that sweet fix, but you're getting a more balanced and more sustainable energy and a more sustainable blood sugar. I'd also suggest as well, if you do really like fruits and you've got quite a big appetite for fruit, question yourself about why you've got that. It's often a dysfunction or something else. There's often something else that's going on. But also is start adding more sweet vegetables to your meals in the daytime. So carrots, beets, sweet potatoes. And by adding those sweet fruit vegetables in there, you're getting that little bit of sugar. And so you won't crave as much. And another tip which I really like, and it doesn't work for everybody, not everyone can stomach it, but apple cider vinegar is really good, and there's lots of evidence out there that you can have a look at clinical studies done where apple cider vinegar can help you balance your sugar levels. So having apple cider vinegar diluted with water before you have 10 or 15 minutes before you have some fruit, that can help you balance it out as well. So that's a really good thing. Really good tip. And obviously, stay away from high fructose corn syrup in drinks and foods. Anything that's refined or be made in a factory or a laboratory as opposed to in a plant, it's hard when there's so much marketing around these foods. But focus on crowding out, focusing on just filling your plate up with really good food, and then there's no room for these naughty foods. So if you, and the same with if you have wine, or opt for red wine is better than white wine. There's less sugar, but have it with protein, have it with a little bit of fat, have it with an apple cider vinegar, and that'll balance the sugar out. I mean, we've got to live, right? It's not about taking sugar out of your diet completely, but just do it with a little bit of strategy so that you can balance those levels a little bit.
Brilliant, thank you. Oh, excuse me. So I just wanted to touch on when you are trying to change your diet. and you're with someone else and they're not, how would you coach someone about who really wants to change, but they're finding it difficult with others' influences? Because I get quite a lot from my partner. Oh, I'm going to take you out for a treat, and like, it's not a treat for me. It's just massive stress. Like, I can't, years ago I realized I couldn't eat Chinese food.
Right.
I think there's a lot of sugar in it,
Yeah.
and it just triggers. I get twitchy hands, twitchy feet.
MSG probably as well.
Yeah. So for me, it's not a treat at all.
Right.
It's
Right.
stress. Yeah. So how would you kind of coach someone? What would you tell them to do to kind of stop this attitude?
I think, and I completely, understand what you're saying. It can be very daunting when you're trying your hardest, and sticking to any kind of food program or anything is not easy if you haven't got the level of support that you need. I think a couple of things. Number one is be a bit selfish.
Yeah.
It is your journey and it's not theirs. And often people they want to coax us, and it always comes from the heart. It's always good intentions, but when they say these things or they do these things, it's because they don't have the same understanding. And so look at it from a sort of like a viewpoint of empathy, and see it as an opportunity to coach them and maybe even educate them about food, and have a bit of empathy for them, because they don't know what they don't know. None of us do, and they're just doing what the best they can with what they know. So you can see it as an opportunity to educate them, but obviously not without being too offensive. Another way would be as well is just to to explain to them how important this is to you, and even writing a letter. Just a lot comes out when we put pen to paper, and how hurtful people don't really understand. When we say we're in pain, they just think it's pain. There's pain and there's pain.
Yeah.
And just helping them to understand and it's not their fault. It's just that they don't know what they don't know. So see it as a way to sort of empower them, teach them what you know, and yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you. I was at a wedding this weekend actually, and I decided to take my power back, because we all know what weddings are like. Food is never served at the right time, and
Right, yeah.
I can't go, I had my breakfast, but then I can't go all day like some people can. It's just not. So I made a lovely 3-bean couscous salad. I took a banana and some nuts, and my partner's got a camper van, so I went and sat in the camper van, took my shoes off, had
But it was a lovely break.
had my little lunch for one. It was lovely. I just like de-stressed for a bit, and then I was all refreshed, and then I went back to the party. Everyone else was getting hungry, and I was just like, oh, I feel fine. Bring on my risotto.
I'm surprised you didn't have more people knocking on the camper van door.
Come have a cup of tea.
Yeah, because people don't know, do they? They aren't aware, and people don't link that, like you're saying just then about being hangry. People don't always realize the reason why they're in those moods. Their mood swings are to do with what they're eating or how they're eating or how often they're eating. So yeah, gosh, you are amazing. You are amazing to have such awareness. No, to have such awareness around your body. I know it's been a journey for you, but to have such awareness about your body and listening to your body. And I was speaking to someone today, and it's very hard for us to listen, to find the time to listen.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for that on sugar. That's really, really helpful. I know I've learned a lot. So going back to your body reset program that you have developed, this is a 9-week breakthrough program that is personalized to the individual. So do you just want to tell us a little bit more about that and how people can get in touch with you if they wanted to look at that any further?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is human physiology, but also is I've had my own struggles with health, like I said, digestion, but also is my body just not playing games with me, just being not doing as I ask. So I've basically put everything that I know and then pulled it all out and filtered it to make easy, actionable steps and strategies that everyone can do in 9 weeks. And this is something that I'm really proud of. It's a very simplistic kind of way of eating. There's no weigh-in. I don't advocate weighing scales for yourself or for any foods or anything like that. Because also I want to bring a bit of psychology in there. You know, we've got to be very careful. And it's quite holistic. So I offer as well, part of that program, stress relief and hypnosis. So hypnosis, if you're not familiar, it's a way of helping to reprogram your belief systems around food. And, you know, you in the UK, I grew up in the UK. We all have different feelings around food, and they can sometimes be quite disempowering. You know, I know some of them just from my grandmother was in the war, you know, never leave anything on your plate.
Yep.
And that's, you
Yeah.
know, and that's fine and that works when it's wartime. But now when we're in this life of abundance and we've got food everywhere, then it can be really, it can be a disservice to us. And so I help people look at their code, what program that they're spinning to themselves, like a little piece of code in your brain, and you've built up this belief system that I've got to finish off what I've got on my plate, or, you know, it can be lots of different things. You know, I've got to have Weetabix for my breakfast. That's one. I've got to have a sugary cereal. I've got to have pastries for breakfast. And when we look at that and we start reprogramming that around it, then a massive chunk is done, because I can tell you what to eat and I can give you the formula, and I believe it's very doable. That said, that's only part of the pie.
Yeah.
It's what's going on in your subconscious mind. And your subconscious, you know, runs about 90% of the show. So we've got to try and access that 90% and start talking to that part of your brain that's making those decisions. And then we start seeing real progress. And it's not a 9 week, you know, 9 weeks and then you're back to eating normally. It's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having kids or families, it's creating the ripple effect, empowering yourself so you can empower others.
Yeah.
And teaching kids, you know, I know particularly girls, you know, have lots of mixed messages around food. If we can come with some really healthy messages around food, and as mothers we can have that, or if you're not a mother, you know, we've all got nieces and nephews that are looking up to us for help. Then
And guidance. Yeah.
guidance. If we can have that good relationship with food, we can pass it on to them, even if they just copy what we do.
Yeah.
So it's mind body. I call it mind body health, because I think they're integrated, and that's the body reset.
Yeah. Thanks for that. So
You're
I'll just give
welcome.
you a little bit of overview for the listeners about my online coaching program, which is Wellness to Womb. So if this is the first time you've tuned into me, I've lived with endometriosis since I was around about 10. I probably had fetal endometriosis and didn't go went undiagnosed until I was 32. So my Wellness to Womb program is a 6-month one-to-one support with me. So if you're suffering from that gynecological pain, if you've got hormonal imbalances, and also that mental struggle, a little bit like what Sabina is saying, it's not just about the actual physical pain and dealing with that condition. It's about how you rewire your brain to, I guess, embrace that pain and then start to live a life differently through I have these like 7 pillars that I align the body, the brain and beyond to, and we work through those 7 pillars. And it is a 6-month program because I find that when we're working with the female body, we need that time. You might only even have 4 periods in that 6-month period. You might not actually have 6. So it's kind of rewiring the brain, understanding your pain, and taking ownership of that pain. And like what we said at the beginning, knowing how to articulate your pain to the professionals, how to find your voice, to family, to friends who really don't get it, who don't understand what it's like living in a world of pain. So if you've got to this part of the video, I'm offering a 20% discount for those who wish to sign up. So just message me, arrange a free discovery session, and just mention this video, and I'll automatically deduct that off. So if there's anything further from Sabina, do you like to offer any other advice from you, or?
Yeah, just it's just been a pleasure, and I wish you well in your own healing, and remember, you've got so much power yourself. So yeah, thank you for bringing awareness around this, Suzanne. This is fantastic.
Thank you. So just to end, I'd just like to say a big thank you to Sabina for her time today. This has been Modern Medicine and the Power of Food, a conversation with Suzanne and Sabina. So thank you, Sabina.
Thank you.
As we wrap up this illuminating episode of Whispers of the Womb, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our extraordinary guest, Sabina, for sharing her profound insights into the world of health and wellness. It's been a privilege to delve into the intricate tapestry of human physiology and the power of lifestyle medicine. I encourage our listeners to reflect on Sabina's wisdom and consider how you can synchronize your daily routines with the natural rhythms of your body to achieve your wellness goals. Remember, the path to a healthier, more vibrant life is within your grasp. Before we conclude, I also want to reintroduce you to White Branch's transformative 6-month program for women, Wellness to Womb. This one-to-one program offers dedicated support for women navigating gynecological pain, hormonal health, and mental well-being. It's a journey towards holistic wellness that can truly transform your life. Thank you for joining us on this transformative journey of self-discovery. Stay tuned for more enlightening episodes that have the potential to reshape your perspective on health and wellness. I'm Suzanne Lawson, your host, signing off with the reminder that your well-being is a beautiful journey waiting to be explored.